Welcome on in, everybody. Today is Wednesday, December 31st. This is your Denver Sports Rundown. I'm your host, Dante Gomez, joined by Anilo Piro today. Appreciate you being here, Anilo. And in honor of today's New Year's Eve edition of the show, we are going to do some resolutions for the major four teams plus the Buffs. And we're going to end with that later on in the show. But we're going to go ahead and begin with a little outlook on the 2026 season here, or I guess the championships that could be won in the 2026 year. Particularly on the first half of the year. Don't really know if we have any expectations for any in the latter half of the year. That would be the Rockies. So we're going to mainly focus on the Broncos, Nuggets, Avalanche. I want to go ahead and start off with you ranking those three in most likelihood of winning a championship this year. Obviously, all three are championship contenders, top of the leaderboard in each of their respective leagues there. So we'll go ahead and rank them first, and then we'll go ahead and dive into each one afterwards and, the reasons why you feel the way you do about those teams. So go ahead and, start off with your top three there.
That is one heck of a question to get us rolling. I think, I wore the Avalanche hat for a reason today. I think the Avalanche have to be at number one. They're the best team in the NHL with two of the three best players in the NHL in Cale Makar and Nathan McKinnon. So I'll go there one. This is where we get a little controversial depending on which fan team or which team you support more. Avs 1, Nuggets 2, Broncos 3.
Well, I had the exact same order as you and Nilo, but I think you could really find a legitimate reason to order these in any of the three, order. And obviously the Avalanche are on an absolute heater this year, leading the NHL in points, on pace to be the all-time points leader in the NHL history. So I think that to me, they are a clear number one. I got Nuggets number 2 behind them, and then Broncos number 3 as they look to secure the 1 seed. And then we can go ahead and dive into those reasons, elaborate a little bit more. We'll just start at the top and go down the list here. Let's go backwards. We'll start with the Broncos. Why are you the least confident in them as they head into the playoffs here? Most likely about to hit the number 1 seed, as long as they can take care of business against the Los Angeles Chargers here. That would lock them up the 1 seed. Couple home playoff games. If they win the divisional round, they would host the AFC Championship as well. Why is that you have them third here?
Yeah, and let me start out by saying that I think this is kind of like splitting hairs to a certain extent. I really do think all three of these teams have a legitimate opportunity to go out there and win a championship this season. But with respect to the Broncos, it's kind of a two-pronged approach. One, they've been able to get these wins, against the Chiefs, nice bounce back there, the loss against Jacksonville, and a good win against Green Bay. I just think the AFC is kind of wide open, and I think that'll feed into the other conversations with the Nuggets and the Avalanche, respectively. So, I like the Broncos, especially if they get the 1 seed. Let me come out here and say that. I do think they're going to beat the Chargers on Sunday and secure that 1 seed. I don't know if they can win a championship if they don't get the 1 seed. I don't know if they have to go on the road and win a game, if they fall out of the top spot with the home field dynamic as well. So I just think there's a lot more moving parts with this Broncos team, and I understand where their record is and where they're going to end up potentially. You would think record-wise, that's a team that's going to go out there and contend, if not win a Super Bowl this season. I just think Jacksonville's a good team. I think Houston's defense is elite. If Josh Allen has to come to town, that's going to be a tough game for the Denver Broncos despite their defensive struggles. And let's just assume the Broncos do get to the Super Bowl. I think the Rams are a better team. I think Seattle might be a better team. Watch out for San Francisco as well. I just think there's a little bit more of the cream of the crop in the NFC than there is the AFC. So I think it's going to be a bit of a gauntlet for the Broncos. Again, I could see them making a run. I can see them getting to a Super Bowl and winning a Super Bowl. I just don't think the path is as clear as it is for the other two teams.
Yeah, and I'm with you on that. I just think the NFL this season in particular is just so wide open. So many good teams, AFC, NFC, you name it. Obviously Seahawks, Niners, that NFC West division, Rams, all three having great seasons this year. And then, you couple that with a wide open AFC that most people are predicting as well. I think that a lot of NFL playoff football comes down to your defense in a run game. And the Broncos defense has been struggling the last month or so here. Kind of got lit up against Jacksonville. We're able to win against the Packers, but the Packers and Jordan Love put up some points in that game too. So even, allowing, I know it wasn't, a lot of points, but the Chiefs' third string quarterback was able to move the ball in this defense as well. So I just think that the defense doesn't quite have the momentum that they had earlier in the year and that dominance that they had early in the year when we were comparing this defense to the 2015 Broncos defense and some of the great defenses in NFL history. And then you couple that with the run game, and RJ Harvey stepped up great this last month or so since J.K. Dobbins went down. But I really think you need a down in and down out guy that you can trust. And to me, that was more Dobbins than Harvey. I think what Harvey brings to the team is great. I think he's a weapon. I think he, catching the ball to the backfield, the speed that he has, is absolutely just a game changer for other opponents' defenses there. So I think that you get into a cold playoff game and running the ball and you have a lead and you need to run down that clock. I just don't know if I trust Harvey to be that guy. And then again, you couple that with the defense. So just a couple more question marks there, as well as how I just really respect the opponents in the AFC and NFC, kind of what you were mentioning there. And then we'll go ahead and move on to the Nuggets, as we both had them ranked second most likely according to us to win that championship. Actually, real quick, let's go ahead and look at the odds makers and what they think of these teams. Denver Sports Championship odds on the screen there. You have the Avalanche first in the NHL in terms of likelihood at plus 320. The Nuggets plus 750, second in the NBA, only to the Oklahoma City Thunder. The Broncos plus 700, third in the NFL. And then I threw them on there, just didn't want to totally omit them. The Rockies plus, what is that, 50,000?
It's a lot of zeros, Dante.
Yeah, a lot of zero. I had to make sure to count the zeros when I was transferring that over there, and that would be the 28th most likely odds in MLB. So clear why we are not diving into them as much here. We will give them some resolutions at the end of the show, though. So let's go ahead and we'll go to the Nuggets. I'll start off on this one. I know Jokic went down with the injury the other day, and it was announced that he will be out for, at least 4 weeks, will be reevaluated. Scary sight there, but good news, he will be back, it sounds like, as long as everything with the rehab goes well. So I think anytime you have the best player in the league, especially a league like the NBA where there's only 5 guys on the court at once, it gives you a really good opportunity to go out and win a championship. And we've seen the NBA in their history. It's about stars and it's about having the best player in the world, whether it's Michael Jordan or whether it's, Steph Curry when he's at his peak with the Warriors. LeBron James was the best player in the world for a very long time there. That league specifically leans itself into when you have the best player in the world, you always have a chance. Obviously, Nuggets take the Thunder to 7 last year, and they came back with a much better team this year, in my opinion, for the Nuggets. So should even be a tighter series if they were to match up with the Thunder at some point. The whole West is looking a little bit better than what we saw last year. Obviously, the Rockets, improved with that trade with Kevin Durant. The Spurs are here and ready to go. Wembanyama and that team in San Antonio is rolling right now, 3-0 against the league best Thunder. So they are showing they are the real deal. So a little bit of hesitancy there. And obviously the Nuggets, I think, are better than last year. Jokic, playing at the peak of his game. But I just think the West in general is pretty good. So that's why I have them second to the Avalanche still. What about you? What went into your decision to make them second for you?
Yeah, I just think it's all going to come down to health. And I talked about this extensively with our guy Jake Shapiro on the Mile High Hoops emergency podcast yesterday, and also going back to our preseason show of I truly still believe the only thing that can derail the Denver Nuggets from winning an NBA championship this season are the injuries. Now, I know they're down 4 or 5 starters. Jamal Murray at this moment in time is the last man standing. But the good news is Christian Brown will be back, Aaron Gordon will be back, Cam Johnson will be back, and Nikola Jokic will all be back likely before the All-Star break. I think we'll see Aaron Gordon and Christian Brown hopefully back at the end of this road trip, Cam Johnson shortly thereafter, and then Nikola Jokic right around the start of February. So I know that this next month is going to be absolutely brutal for the Denver Nuggets on paper, just with the limitations they have with the roster due to the injuries. But at the end of the day, if this team gets back to being healthy and playing prime Denver Nuggets basketball in the handful of games we saw with their core 5 starters on the court this season, and Tim Hardaway Jr. and Jonas Valanciunas and Bruce Brown coming off the bench, the Nuggets offense was one of the, if not the best in the league, and the defense was one of the best, if not the best in the league as well in those short game spurts. So I still believe if Nikola Jokic and the starters are healthy, I don't think there's any team that's beating the Denver Nuggets. That includes Oklahoma City. That includes San Antonio, who's been a thorn in Oklahoma City's side. Houston, couple of good teams in the Western Conference, but give me the Nuggets as long as they're healthy.
Yeah, and I like what you had to say there about the Nuggets in terms of, they will be healthy. They will be able to ramp up prior to the playoffs starting. Obviously, you don't want to have everyone come back at the same time, with just, a week or two, left of the regular season. These guys should have ample time to, rebuild that chemistry that we saw early in this year when they were, dominating, had, a top 2-3 record in the NBA for a long time there. So I still like their chances. I'm not as on board with you as far as long as they're healthy, they can win it. I do think that San Antonio and Oklahoma City are real threats to them. And I think if those teams play at their best and the Nuggets are at their best, I think it's a really competitive series. I'm not going to say who wins and who loses, but I don't think that it's, the Nuggets or nothing at that point. I think those teams are legitimate threats, and they have that championship medal, at least in Oklahoma City now after last year. And obviously, they are on a red hot start this year. Not as of late. I think 6-4 in their last 10, so have dropped down a little bit as of lately. But they still show that they can go out and dominate this league early this season. So should be fun to watch as hopefully everyone gets back to the starting, or hopefully everyone gets back healthy, and the starting five looks like the starting five that we expected going into the year. And that leaves us with the team that we both ranked number one in terms of most likely to go out and win a championship, the Colorado Avalanche. What led you to ranking them number one?
They're just the best team in the NHL right now. I mean, Nathan McKinnon's playing out of this world. We know what Cale Makar is. Marty Necas has settled into a bit of a groove. They've got not just one, but two competent goaltenders in Wedgwood and Blackwood right now as well. And so I just think it's all systems a go for this Avalanche team. I mean, you even look at the standings, right? The Dallas Stars were floating within spitting distance of the Colorado Avalanche in the points department. The Avs have won 8 in a row. The Stars have lost 2 in a row. So Colorado's building a bit of separation there. They're 29-2-7 on the year, good for 65 points. The Dallas Stars now at 25-7-7 for 57 points. So Colorado at this point in the season, heading into the new year, almost 10 points up on the Dallas Stars, who are a major threat, an absolute thorn in the Avalanche's side. Let's not get that twisted, but this is the best Avalanche team that we've seen since they've won the Stanley Cup. And I mean, you look at the rest of the standings in the Pacific Division of the Western Conference, 46 points, Edmonton leading the way there compared to Colorado's 65. In the Eastern Conference, Carolina has 51 points. The Red Wings have 49 points. So there is a massive gap. It's Avalanche, Gap, Stars, draw the line. You could throw Minnesota in there as well, but there is literally zero excuse for this Colorado Avalanche team. The way they've been playing since the moment the puck dropped to start the season, they've asserted themselves as the best team in the NHL. And when you're the best team in your respective league, you got to go out there and win. And it's a championship or bust mentality for Colorado.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's as easy as saying, the Colorado Avalanche are just the Colorado Avalanche this year. They're on an absolute heater. Doesn't really need too much more explanation than that. They came into the year very focused after last year's early exit in the playoffs. It seemed to really bother this team how they went out in the playoffs last year, and they came in this year very just like I said, on a mission to go out and prove that, hey, we are the best team in the league. Last year was last year and didn't end the way we wanted. We're going to go out and prove, we are capable of going out and winning a cup. So hopefully they don't run out of gas early. I don't think that'll be a problem with this team, especially with the Stars, close-ish behind them in the standings. Yeah, I got to kind of keep that foot on the gas for the Avs, but I don't imagine that being an issue with them. And obviously you mentioned it, two very good goalies with Blackwood and Wedgwood. Wedgwood particularly stepping up with Blackwood's injury earlier in the year has been a very pleasant surprise for the city of Denver and this Avalanche team. So, and we'll wrap it up with the their championship talk, or the all three teams championship talk. Mortgage on the line, gun to your head. How many championships do you think Denver's bringing home this year?
I'm going 2. And I think it's my top 2. I think it's the Avalanche, and I think it's the Nuggets. I know you and I disagree a little bit on the caliber of this Nuggets team compared to that of San Antonio, Oklahoma City. I respect your opinion. And look, I'm not saying it's a guarantee either one of these teams win a championship. The Broncos, let's make it 3, right? Cortland Sutton came out a couple of weeks ago and said he was talking to the Nuggets players and how it's their time to have a parade, right? The Nuggets had theirs, the Avalanche had theirs. Rockies have never had one, unfortunately. But I just think, like I said, there's no excuse for this Avalanche team bearing injury, so knock on some wood with that. And I'm just a believer, as you said, in the best player in the world, in Nikola Jokic. I mean, prior to the injury, the dude was literally unconscious. Like, his stat lines, like, I can't even comprehend at times. So I'll go 2 out of the 3. The cherry on top will be the Broncos, who I do think have a realistic chance to win it. I just think the Broncos are kind of bunched up with a lot of these other teams in the NFL, whereas I think the Avalanche are cut above, as are the Denver Nuggets.
Yeah, I'm going to go with 1 for myself. I think it's the Avs. I just feel so confident in them this year. And I'm not saying that it's impossible for the Nuggets or Broncos to go out and win. Like we said, kind of how we preface the conversation is, the reason we're able to have this conversation is all 3 teams are legitimate championship contenders. So wouldn't surprise me if it's 2. And I mean, I'm not even going to take 3 off the table. I don't think that's likely. I don't think we've ever seen that in sports, really. So it would be unprecedented. But I think if any city's going to do it, it might be Denver this year. So we'll look forward to that. We'll go ahead and hit the halfway point of the show here. And it's time to hit the turn presented by the Birdie Bar, Louisville's premier indoor golf bar and entertainment space. Check out their heated patio and miniature golf course to cure your winter blues. Go ahead and check that out, guys. It is a lovely time down there, and it is a little cold in Denver to be outdoor golfing, so why not go ahead and do it indoors when you got food right there? It's a warm place for you. Shout out to the Birdie Bar. We'll go ahead and wrap up the New Year's Eve edition of this show with each 5 of the major sports here in Denver and the Buffs as well. I'll count that as, the Denver metro area. We'll give them some New Year's resolutions. We'll go ahead in order here. We'll go ahead with the Broncos. What's your resolution for them in 2026? So that would be obviously their playoff run here and then even into the offseason.
Generate more turnovers. And I don't know exactly how you do that because it's kind of when luck meets opportunity, right? When it comes to that, or preparation meets opportunity. But I think the one thing that could significantly boost the Broncos' chances to win a Super Bowl this year is if they up the ante in the turnover department. I mean, you mentioned the defense has been a bit up and down this last handful of weeks. So I think it's a combination of Vance Joseph being able to adjust in game, but also getting these game-changing plays on defense, which we haven't necessarily seen. Now, yes, they've come up with some big sacks. They've done some good things on defense. But if Denver wants to put their pedal to the metal, for lack of a better phrase, and go out there and win a championship, they've got to up the production in the turnover department. So I would say that. And then a resolution, I mean, this is more just wishful thinking. Got to stay healthy, right? Luke Wattenberg's injured right now. Brandon Jones is injured as well. J.K. Dobbins. These are 3 guys that were major contributors for this Broncos team throughout the course of the season. So I think it's a combination of that and putting your best foot forward. And let's see where the Broncos go.
Yeah, I'm going to go a little bit more big picture with mine. I'm going to go more to the offseason. Russell Wilson's contract coming off the books here. I think it's really important you go out and have spend that money wisely. That $50 million that's coming off the books here. I think you need to go out and find a tight end, whether that's in the draft or in free agency. I think Evan Ingram was sort of a swing and a miss. I think it's fair to call him that at this point. Whether it's not Sean Payton getting him involved as much, whether it's Evan Ingram being a little over the hill as far as athleticism goes, could be a combination of all of those things. So I think you need to go out and spend that money wisely. I think Drake Greenlaw can be considered, a bit of a roller coaster season when he's out there. He's been great, but he's not been out there a lot. He's been injured throughout the year. So I think Hufanga obviously has been a great signing for this Broncos team. And if you can go out and spend money like that, more guys that are going out there and make a big impact for this team, I think that could turn this team into a legitimate 2026, 2027 Super Bowl contender. Extend this window. The opponents for the Broncos 2026 season came out. It is going to be a gauntlet of a schedule for them. Tough schedule with that first place schedule, winning the AFC West this season. So got tough teams on the schedule, and you really got to make sure you nail this offseason and go into next year being able to repeat the success that we saw this year. We'll transition to the Nuggets. What do you got for them this year? What was your what should their goals be for 2026?
Stay healthy. I know that's kind of a basic one, right? But I'm not going to lie. I'm a little concerned about the workload that Jamal Murray's about to have to shoulder. I mean, this is a guy that does have some injury history. We know how that's gone before. And I don't really think you could ask for much more from this Nuggets team. I mean, I was one of those guys, call me a homer or not, whatever you want to call it. I give them like an A+ grade on their offseason, right? So I don't know if there's like a hole for them to fill. They have their first round pick this year. They can't trade it as part of the CBA, I believe, as well. And Jake and I were talking about it. Like, do they try to make a trade with Jokic down? Like, I don't think so. So I would say it's getting healthy. And can we figure out like what to do with Zeke Naji? Because it's like when he's out there, it's bleh. Like, I don't know if you can get off him with the trade or whatever it might be. You can't cut him, obviously, because of the money. But I would say stay healthy and figure out what Zeke Naji's future is with this team.
Yeah, I went in the same train of thought as you. Get healthy and stay healthy. I'm with you as well. I'm a little concerned about Jamal Murray shouldering the load over the next month and being the primary scorer on this team, where we've seen he can struggle sometimes as the main focus when he is that 1A player out there without Jokic. More times than not, it's when Jokic's on the bench taking a little rest. But Murray doesn't really tend to raise the tide for the rest of the guys around him. So I'm a little nervous that he can get a little overworked. He did come into the year looking, in better shape than what we've seen in the past. So that should help at least in terms of him being in shape and being able to shoulder the load of playing, 35 minutes a game, 36 minutes a game. And these defenses on the other side are going to try to wear him out. The book is out on Jamal Murray. You throw a lot of long athletic defenders at him, and he can tend to struggle. He doesn't necessarily have the athleticism that he did as a younger Jamal Murray did in his young 20s in the NBA. And sometimes he can struggle to create that separation. So hopefully he's able to stay healthy and get that help around him over the next month until Jokic is back. And at that point, it's full systems go and go out and try to win a championship. So great resolutions for them as well, goals for them. Avalanche, I'm going to make it pretty simple for my resolution. Go out and win the Stanley Cup. I really think that's the only goal at this point. You go out and win you set the points record in the NHL. Great. I don't think anyone's going to be touting that if they don't go out and win the championship this year, don't go out and win a Stanley Cup. So to me, they have to be, and it seems they are this way, one goal oriented, and that goal has to be bringing a championship, bringing the Stanley Cup back to Denver.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I guess I would just double down by let's exercise some demons, assuming they do have to play the Dallas Stars.
Oh, so you want them to go through go the hard way and beat the Stars?
Yeah, I mean, I'm saying just with the way that the NHL's playoff bracket kind of shakes out, odds are they're probably going to have to face Dallas at some point or another in this NHL postseason. And so here's what I will say. Here's I don't know how hot of a take this is, but they beat the Stars, they win the Cup. Because I mean, you got Edmonton, who's got their two players, McDavid and Draisaitl, of course. Minnesota's a fun new team with the trade that they made recently as well. So I don't think there's anything that's slowing down the Avalanche except for the Avalanche themselves. So I agree with you. Let's go out there and win the Stanley Cup, but let's also try to exercise some demons in the process in the playoffs. Get past that second round.
I like it. You want the hard road. Some people around here sometimes are like, hey, I don't care who we face. As long as we go out and win a championship, that is all that I care about. I like that you wanted to be, exercise the demons on the way to that championship. We'll transition to the team up northwest, I guess. The Buffs and Deion Sanders. I'll go ahead with my resolution for them first. And it's pretty simple. Get the hype back. The hype that we saw in the first 2 years of Deion Sanders being here, where you have College Game Day coming here. You have Fox Sports' Big Noon coming here. And I'm not necessarily saying that those shows are going to come here, but you need to be appointment television. You need to be in the mix when ESPN is talking about college football. And I think there's two ways you can go about that. Obviously, going out and winning some ball games. You go 8-4, you go 9-3. They're going to talk about you. You're Deion Sanders and you're winning football games like that. It's going to, look back to what we saw the first 2 years out here. And I think number two is Julian Lewis going out and looking like the 4-star, 5-star quarterback that he's projected to be. So if he can go out there and have a solid season and bring that hype into the 2027 season, at that point, show that he's going to be a first-round draft pick, show that he can go and, be in the running for the best quarterback in the Big 12, which the Big 12 traditionally is a very good quarterback conference. If Julian Lewis can go out and be a top 3 quarterback in the Big 12, I think that would certainly pique some interest from people in the transfer portal around the country, guys committing from high school to come here. People are going to want to play with a guy like that. So I think you really need to get this train back on the tracks and get that hype back in Boulder.
Yeah, I would agree. I'll take it not a step further, but in a different direction, right? I think it's for Coach Prime to assert himself. And I understand that he was dealing with the medical stuff. And I know he says that played no role in how this season shook out last year, but let's see him go out there and recruit some of these top guys, right? They got to build it back up to where it was a couple of years ago. I mean, this was an extremely disappointing season that the Colorado Buffaloes just finished. I mean, I was there for, I think, every single home game covering it for us here at denversports.com. And I can tell you the vibe this season was not the vibe of the last 2 seasons. And naturally, that was to be expected, losing Travis Hunter, losing Shedeur Sanders, and all, some of these other guys as well. So I think they've got to reestablish, or maybe just establish in general, a culture up there in Boulder. And then to take it a step further, it doesn't just apply to football. Fernando Lovo, the new athletic director that CU just recently hired, some big shoes to fill with respect to what's going on with Rick George in this football program, but I want to see the Colorado men's basketball team get back to playing in the NCAA tournament. So like that's another thing I want to see. And I like Tad Boyle. And I know that they're, an up and coming bunch out there in Boulder this season, but across the board, let's see CU Athletics get back to being competitive across all of the sports. We know where the women's hoops has been at, some of the other sports as well, but the men's basketball and the football taking a bit of a step back the last couple of years. I think Fernando Lovo is hired to be that guy to get it back on track. Let's see him do it.
Yeah, I like that about Fernando Lovo. I think obviously a great track record of where he came from, and he has a very specific mission at his new job here up in Boulder, where the finances have been a little out of sorts from that article that came out detailing how much they are spending compared to how much they're bringing in. And he, I believe, is the guy that can get that back on track for them. So hopefully we see that in the 2026 year here. We'll finish up with the Rockies and their goals / resolution, or our goals for them in the 2026 season here. You want to take it away with them?
Low and slow. I don't need a rush to instant gratification for this Rockies team. I think Paul DePodesta and the guys that he's hired in that front office, like it's nothing about on the field for me, right? We know what Ezekiel Tovar is, an exciting young shortstop that is now a handful of seasons into his career. They've got a couple of pieces that I like in that organization, right? I think it's just a matter of like burn it to the ground and build it back up. I don't need the Rockies to be a 500 team this year. I would like that. That'd be awesome. But I need this Rockies team building for 2, 3, 4 years from now and doing a complete organizational overhaul. And I think we've seen that start to kind of take place throughout the course of this offseason, starting with the hire of Paul DePodesta. So, when you smoke brisket low and slow, let it marinate, right? That's what I'm looking for with this Rockies front office. And that's my resolution is let's not be starved for success from the Rockies because we haven't seen a lot of it in their franchise's history in general. Let's trust the process and let's let Paul DePodesta cook.
I like it. And if you're looking for 500 baseball from the Rockies, you're probably looking in the wrong spot because I think that's just too high of a bar for this team in the upcoming season. I would like to see some pillars for the future show up and really prove themselves, whether it's Brenton Doyle out in center field being like, hey, I'm going to be the center fielder for the Rockies for the next half decade. Or whether it's Ezekiel Tovar, which he obviously got signed pretty early here. So he most likely will be the starting shortstop for the Rockies for the next half decade plus. Chase Dolander had a decent rookie go at it as well campaign. So I think if you can have some pillars and building blocks for the future, I think that would be very important for these guys. And just go out and be competitive. Don't be that team that when other teams see them on the schedule, it's like, oh, awesome, we got 3 in Denver this weekend, that'll be easy. Or we got Denver or the Rockies coming to town for a set here, that'll be easy. I think you want to go out and be a team that teams don't want to face necessarily, whether that's them winning the ball games or just being gritty, making the other teams earn those wins. Become less of a joke, I would say, around the MLB. Just looking for some competency down at 20th and Blake there for them. So that'll do it for us and Denver. The Denver Sports Rundown on this New Year's edition of the show. We'll be back on Friday to react to a couple of bowl games. Obviously, the Nuggets are in action tonight. Avs in action tonight as well. So a bunch to react to and previewing that Broncos and Chargers game that is for that all-important number 1 seed over the weekend. Thank you, everyone out there, for joining us today. Go ahead and have a safe New Year's. Thank you, Anilo, for joining us as well, spending some time with us. Everyone have a safe New Year's and have a happy New Year, and we'll see you guys back on Friday. I do what I love what I do. Second nature to put in